In the park, two children were playing the game of building sandcastles when suddenly, a bully jumped in, disrupting the scene with his aggressive nature. Since childhood, Set Kang wasn't one to mince words. He went straight for the bully, leaping onto the seesaw and delivering a blow to the bully's nose, making him sit on the ground, crying and whimpering. Moments later, the bully called his older brother for revenge, but the outcome was still the same. Set Kang fought back fiercely, leaving the bullies defeated. They didn't know that Set Kang was the kindergarten boss, continuing his role as the primary school gang leader when he moved up to year 5. One day, while attending school, some high school students approached Set Kang asking for money. Without hesitation, Set Kang demanded they hand over all their money, threatening to beat them up otherwise. Whether it was a few eggs or a basketful, Set Kang remained unfazed, even calling them food for thought. A teenager named AK tried to attack him but was smoothly dodged, ending up with a twisted face after Set Kang's retaliation. AK's friend, Redhead, enraged, attempted to fight Set Kang, only to receive a rock to the head, leaving the entire group defeated. It was this incident that led to Set Kang being taken away by the authorities. Due to his young age, he was only given a warning, as his mother didn't want to worry. Set Kang promised his mother he wouldn't fight again. Years later, Set Kang was a high school student, often bullied by some delinquents in his class. Despite his desire to keep his promise to his mother, Set Kang endured the torment silently, as these bullies were even younger. All Set Kang wanted was to see his mother's gentle smile again. However, one day, a group of people arrived unexpectedly at Set Kang's family cafe, bearing the news of his father's passing. Upon learning this, Set Kang's mother was devastated. After the funeral, Set Kang transferred to another high school, where his homeroom teacher introduced him to the class, hoping they would help the new student. While some girls gossiped about Set Kang's handsome appearance, one girl stepped forward, introducing herself as Set Kang and asking for their help. Set Kang's homeroom teacher arranged a seat for him next to a peaceful sleeper named Davang. Unexpectedly, even after changing schools, Set Kang encountered the bullies from his old school during their outings. They tried to provoke him again, but Set Kang just smirked, frustrating them. They even contemplated attacking him in class, but their cowardice prevailed, and they left with a warning from Set Kang that it wasn't over yet. The next lesson began with an elderly teacher stepping into the classroom, but he seemed unsure of what today's lesson was supposed to be, leaving the class speechless. Throughout the class, the bully kept eyeing Set Kang, determined to make him pay for ignoring him. But Set Kang remained indifferent, gazing out the window. The girl who had been observing Set Kang earlier was sure he was someone she knew from her childhood. But when Set Kang looked at her, she startled and quickly turned away, leaving Set Kang bewildered momentarily. However, he soon lost interest, feeling drowsy due to the pleasant breeze outside. As the class continued, Davang seemed to have gotten bored of sleeping and left the classroom. Upon noticing this, the delinquent students immediately signaled each other, preparing to confront Set Kang. But before they could act, they were stopped by a hand. It was the girl who had been eyeing Set Kang. Sophie, the class monitor, wouldn't tolerate any disruption. However, at this moment, Set Kang spoke up, telling her to step aside because those guys were his good friends. He reminded them of their past interactions, asserting his authority, which instilled fear in them. Set Kang, who had previously endured silently, remembered his grandfather's advice to not be subservient to anyone. Moments later, Davang returned to class, assuming Set Kang had been dragged away by the group. But to his surprise, Set Kang was still peacefully asleep on the desk. Before that, the three bullies had been beaten up by Set Kang. They quickly reported to their gang leader, who promptly entered the classroom, demanding to know who had fought his brother. Seeing everyone pointing toward Set Kang's seat, the gang leader approached Set Kang's desk, commanding him to wake up or face consequences. Set Kang, annoyed by the interruption, found it discomforting. The gang leader, who arrogantly dubbed himself the school monster, Jongjin, intended to confront Set Kang. However, as he scrutinized Set Kang's face, he realized that Set Kang was the same boy who had shattered his brother's pride in the past. Set Kang acknowledged the incident and even inquired about Jongjin's brothers. This left Jongjin sweating nervously, Finally, he decided to leave, leaving his bewildered followers behind. Despite one of them wanting to instigate a fight with Set Kang on the spot, the gang leader ordered them to leave, and they reluctantly obeyed. Later, the gang leader made a call to his older brother. As the class ended, Set Kang returned to the cafe with his mother. When she asked him about his day at the new school, Set Kang assured her that everything was fine, reiterating his promise not to fight unless provoked. Before leaving, their chauffeur, Thomas, greeted them, reminding him not to cause trouble in front of the neighbors. After a brief apology, they departed, with Set Kang's mother looking on with a contemplative gaze. A new day at Yongjin High School began, and even before anything happened, Set Kang and Davang were already sprawled out on the desks, paying no heed to the teacher's lecture. These two young men continued their slumber from recess to class time, leaving Sophie at a loss for words with these two characters. Another class passed by unnoticed. This time, it was the turn of a burly, towering teacher to teach. He quickly noticed the two fellows snoozing at the back of the class. He slowly made his way down, causing everyone else to follow suit, all the while, the whole class muttering about these two special students. Pitiful, sleeping at this hour, true party animals, remarked the teacher as he pulled the ears of the two, startling them awake. Wow, Victor, last time I let you off because you had a tournament coming up. But this one, I've never seen before. Who are you? Queried the teacher. Class President Sophie immediately informed the teacher that Set Kang was a new transfer student. The teacher then punished both for dozing off during class. Afterwards, they had to change into gym clothes and go out to the field to carry out their punishment. The two had to run 3 laps around the schoolyard. Whoever reached the finish line first would not be punished for their behavior today, while the loser would regret being born. Understood? The teacher asked. We hear you, sir. What's with the tension? They replied. Before Set Kang could prepare, Davang, also known as Victor, ran ahead. Set Kang immediately chased after him because losing would be too embarrassing. After running for a while, Victor suddenly accelerated, making Set Kang extremely angry. Are you trying to challenge me, you star? Set Kang asked angrily. Seeing the fear in the teacher's eyes, the punishment turned into a race between the two fierce students. They fiercely chased each other, whether it was a sharp turn or around the field. As they raced, they did not forget to taunt each other. The race ended with Victor, who was extremely surprised at Set Kang's speed. That's quite a run, but your expression caught the teacher's eye too. This is the first time I've seen a student keep up with Victor's speed, commented the teacher. The scene shifted to the National Stadium, where thrilling sports matches took place, with athletes competing against each other. Currently, a wrestling final was taking place, with a blonde athlete appearing very fierce. However, he was no match for his opponent, a well-built gym-trained version. It was clear from the outset that he was in danger. The result was as expected, with the match ending in victory for Anban, the black-haired athlete whose real name was Groo Chang. After the match, he went to the sauna room to enjoy his victory and relax. Suddenly, the door was pushed open by Group's younger brother, who came to announce that Set Kang had returned. Group was the chubby kid who had been kicked by Set Kang when they were little and still held a grudge to this day. Back at Yongjin High School, the teacher was warning Set Kang and Victor never to doze off during their classes again. Then he turned to Set Kang and asked if he was in any sports team. Set Kang replied with a curt no. Failing to get anything out of them, the teacher sent both of them back to their seats. At this moment, they were in the class of an elderly teacher whose lectures were slow-paced, making Victor and Set Kang struggle to stay awake. Eventually, they both ended up with their heads down on the desk, fast asleep. True to form, they were excellent at it. Time passed quickly, and it was already afternoon. Meanwhile, Grook was standing at the gate of Yongjin High School, wondering why that pest was here. Group's unexpected appearance caught the attention of some people, and news of it quickly spread to the student council. Down on the field, Victor was doing his physical training when Group spotted him and asked where Set Kang's class was. But Victor, put off by Group's impolite attitude, didn't respond and just kept running, injuring him. You deaf or something, you swine, Victor retorted, warning Group to keep his filthy hands off him. Group was taken aback by the challenge, wondering if Victor knew who he was. But all he got in return was a punch from Victor. However, Groo was no pushover. Despite taking continuous blows, he still managed to grab Victor by the collar. "You're pretty good, but I'm Groo Chang. That means you're dead," Groo threatened. Just then, the teacher suddenly appeared, forcing both of them to stop. Meanwhile, the root cause of the fight was still inside, undergoing a change. Elsewhere in the school, in the student council room, Johnson, the student council president, was present. Everyone knew why they were there. Groo Chang had returned. Nobody knew why, but things were gradually getting more complicated. He was the source of all the trouble. Representing the national wrestling team was Groo Chang, while Victor Chu was the national lightweight boxing champion. The PE teacher intervened just in time to prevent a brawl between the two. The student body was in an uproar, with everyone speculating about what had happened. The club captains of Taekwondo, Bezu, and Judo, Sampoi, were investigating the reason behind Groo's return. It turned out that Groo was here to deal with a new transfer student named Set Kang. As the school day ended and the students dispersed, Set Kang stepped outside to find his driver, Bot, asleep. He woke him up, and Bot greeted him cheerfully, apologizing for falling asleep. Set Kang instructed Bot to take him back to his previous location. Unbeknownst to Set Kang, the class president had inadvertently witnessed this interaction between him and the Scarface driver. As Set Kang got into the car, he instructed Bot to take him back to his old place. Shortly after, the car parked in front of Set Kang's mother's cafe. Set Kang watched his mother working from outside for a while before leaving. Then, the car took Set Kang to the Andong Corporation. As he stepped out of the car, more than 10 people in black greeted him respectfully. "Welcome back, boss." Seeing this, Set Kang was slightly annoyed. "How many times do I have to tell you not to do this while I'm still in school uniform?" The scene shifts to the past, where Set Kang visited his father's grave. The sky was gloomy, matching his mood. A man in black approached and offered an umbrella to shield Set Kang from the rain, saying, "Let's go, it's getting cold." Set Kang asked the man about his father, and he revealed that Set Kang's father was the strongest man in Korea, always winning in fights. He also mentioned how Set Kang's father always watched over him, sometimes going out just to catch a glimpse of him. The man's last words before passing away were, "Never accept defeat, it's shameful." The next day, the student council decided to visit Set Kang's class to see who he was. The unexpected appearance of the student council president, Johnson, surprised everyone. Johnson, being acquainted with the class president, asked who the new student was. Curious, the class president asked what was going on, and Johnson said he was just curious about a few things. Just then, Set Kang woke up from a nap, and Johnson guessed that he was the new student, inviting him to the student council office. However, Set Kang, unaware of who Johnson was, pointed at him and asked, "Who's this guy?" This question made the class president sweat nervously, hurriedly explaining that Johnson was the student council president. Facing the student council's request, Set Kang bluntly refused, insisting on talking there and then. This angered Johnson, as nobody in the school had dared to challenge him like that before. Johnson told Set Kang to follow him and dragged Davang along, then left. In the bewildered eyes of everyone, the class president reminded Johnson to be careful, to which Set Kang also thanked him. Then he twisted his friend's arm, making him yelp in pain. "Who the hell do you think you are to tell me what to do?" he said. Victor, who had been sleeping peacefully before being disturbed, was now quite irritated. Then, the two of them went down to the student lounge together. Before leaving, Set Kang assured the class president that they would be fine. Meanwhile, Johnson was waiting in the student council office for Set Kang and Victor. Victor, casually taking a chair, sat down with an air of nonchalance and asked Johnson, "Why did you call me here?" Johnson wasted no time and got straight to the point. "Do you guys know who Groo Chang is?" Victor remembered him as the guy who had choked him the day before. Johnson explained that Yongjin High School, their school, used to be a sports powerhouse, a dream for young athletes across the country. But Groo had ruined it all. The reason Groo had come back was to find Set Kang and learn about his connection with him. However, This young man didn't even know who Group was. It was the first time he had heard the name. Over at the faculty office, the teacher was having a conversation with Group. "I heard you joined the national team, is that true?" Group didn't need to know the reason, but he was warned never to give up on sports. Meanwhile, Joon-san was explaining the situation to Victor and SetKang, causing a stir among the students. The brawl had caused injuries to many, leading to suspensions for both Group and others involved. Group was expelled and sent to a juvenile rehabilitation camp. Unexpectedly, this incident led to the government cutting off all funding for Jongjin High School, turning it into an ordinary school. The only person who stood up to help Group was the gym teacher, who managed to prevent Group from going to the rehabilitation camp. Moreover, he introduced Group to a team. Despite this, SetKang still didn't understand why Group wanted to find him. As the school day ended, the two walked out of the school gate and saw the class president waiting for them. Victor pretended to be interested in birds to give his friend a chance to talk to Suffy. SetKang then suddenly asked the class president if he was waiting for him. This startled Suffy, who then awkwardly asked SetKang if he remembered who she was. SetKang confidently replied that of course, he remembered her because she was the class president. Suffy clarified that she meant back when they were kids. In fact, SetKang still remembered Suffy as the preschool friend they used to play sandcastles with and even shared a stolen kiss once. SetKang assured her he wouldn't mention the kiss to anyone, as they were just kids at the time. As it was getting dark, SetKang had to go home. He suddenly remembered Suffy's childhood wish that they would do something together when they grew up. SetKang went to his car and found his driver dozing off again. Wondering if he was being exploited, SetKang asked if he wanted to go to his mother's place as usual. However, SetKang decided to go straight to the Andong Corporation, the legacy his father left him. After his father passed away, SetKang took over as chairman, facing numerous challenges and headaches. Being a chairman wasn't all about having money. It came with a lot of responsibilities and problems to solve, which gave SetKang a headache. The black-clad bodyguard advised SetKang to take his job seriously because Andong Corporation was his father's blood, sweat, and tears. It was not an ordinary company. Its origins were in the underworld, but its exterior was a legitimate business involved in finance and entertainment. SetKang, as the sole heir of the former chairman, had been established as the successor. However, at just 17 years old, he still had to undergo 2 years of training before officially taking over the reins of the corporation. At this moment, the phone in the chairman's office suddenly rang. The bodyguard picked up the phone and received the news that several people from Busan had arrived. Upon hearing this, the chairman's face immediately turned serious. In a swift motion, the office door was kicked open, and someone stepped in. It was the branch manager of the Andong Group in Busan, named Dear X. The bodyguard asked if he intended to cause trouble, but Dear X remained resentful towards SetKang. In his eyes, SetKang was just a kid who inherited the group despite his own efforts. The bodyguard wanted to say something, but SetKang intervened and asked Dear X if his nose was still hurting. Dear X explained that it was just a minor mistake last time. SetKang then asked him if he wanted a rematch. "You're here on time. I'm in a bad mood today," he said. With that, SetKang leaped from his desk, heading straight for Dear X. He moved so quickly that Dear X couldn't react in time. SetKang attempted to kick him, but realized he used too much force, stopping himself mid-air, acknowledging that he had exerted too much strength. He then took a step back, assessing the situation. The next day, SetKang went to school, greeted by good wishes from his driver. In a hidden corner, Group and his cronies were already standing near the school gate. Seeing SetKang entering the school, Group immediately ordered his friend to drag him out. Their suspicious behavior caught the attention of the student council, prompting President Johnson to warn everyone to be cautious. Frustrated, he slammed the table, questioning why they allowed someone like Group to act as he pleased, especially since he was a national team representative. He emphasized that their current situation was all because of Group's troublemaking. Despite Johnson's attempt to calm the situation, Group's brother refused to accept the peace. He was determined to reclaim what they had lost. Meanwhile, SetKang's friend from Group sneaked into SetKang's classroom and found him sleeping peacefully on the desk. Afraid to wake him up, he gently tapped Set Kang's shoulder and mentioned that he had something important to discuss. Despite Set Kang's reluctance due to his drowsiness, his friend insisted that the matter was crucial. Set Kang reluctantly abandoned his nap and followed his friend to a nearby table. Victor, noticing their departure, kept his eyes on them, as did the former class president. They all left together and met in the schoolyard. Meanwhile, Groo was sitting on the steps with a few Yongjin students who had been beaten by him earlier. Just a while ago, a member of the student council had called someone to confront Groo. When Groo asked his opponent if he only knew how to fight, the young man rushed at him with fists flying. However, Groo managed to block the kick with his hand. He then grabbed the boy's ankle and lifted him off the ground before slamming him hard onto the floor, causing him to groan in pain. Just as Groo was about to break the boy's legs, President Johnson intervened in time. Johnson asked Groo why he was still here since he was no longer a student at Jongjin School. Groo replied that he was only there to find a new student as the president of the student council. Johnson firmly stated that he wouldn't allow any troublemaking in the school. At that moment, two figures suddenly appeared behind Johnson. It was Set Kang, who had followed Groo's friend here, meeting his old enemy again. Groo's eyes immediately flashed with anger, while Set Kang greeted his acquaintance with a smile. As Groo strode forward to confront Set Kang and settle their old scores, President Johnson intervened once more. He declared that he wouldn't allow Set Kang to cause trouble in the school. However, Set Kang pushed the student council president aside, warning Groo that if he had come all the way here to find him, he wouldn't be able to avoid a confrontation. Concerned about the potential trouble these two could cause, President Johnson anxiously looked on. Both of them could create chaos for the school. Set Kang reassured Johnson that nothing would happen. Then, he approached Groo and suggested they go to the gym because it wasn't suitable to talk here. The two stepped into the ring, ready to exchange punches and play by the rules. The intense aura emanating from Set Kang made both Groo and Johnson feel somewhat intimidated. The fight quickly attracted many students to come and watch. The challenger was a new student who had transferred to Set Kang, while the one challenged was the expelled student, Groo Chang. The student council president was feeling annoyed by the situation, especially when a student asked him why he allowed them to fight, adding to his headache. As the two were preparing for the showdown, the physical education teacher suddenly appeared. Seeing this, the student quickly whispered to the teacher, blaming the student council president for the mess. While everyone thought the gym teacher would intervene, he surprised them by handing gloves to the two fighters. He also acted as the referee, explaining the rules of the match. It consisted of 3 rounds, each lasting 3 minutes. Elsewhere, news of the impending fight between Groo and the new student had reached Sophie and Victor. Sophie, the class president, entered the gymnasium and was deeply worried upon seeing Set Kang battling Groo. She knew how dangerous Groo could be. Set Kang questioned Groo, asking if he sought him out because he still held a grudge from their childhood. Groo didn't deny it, admitting that was the only time he tasted failure. As the bell rang, signaling the start of the match, Groo immediately threw a punch, but Set Kang dodged it just in time. Set Kang swiftly closed the gap, trapping Groo's hands and delivering a powerful blow to his abdomen, causing him to collapse to the ground. Without giving Groo a chance to stand up, Set Kang delivered another blow to his back, causing him to fall once more. In the midst of everyone's surprise, the new student revealed his true skills. Set Kang urged the gym teacher to start counting the time. But to everyone's astonishment, despite receiving a full combo from Set Kang, Groo managed to stand up. He was indeed quite resilient. At this moment, Sophie observed the fight with great concern, knowing Groo's dangerous capabilities. Set Kang offered Groo a chance to surrender, but Groo refused, continuously launching attacks that tested Set Kang's patience. Finally, taking advantage of Groo's vulnerability, Set Kang grabbed his hair and delivered a forceful blow to the ground. Then, in a terrifying display, he unleashed a barrage of powerful punches to Groo's face, prompting even the gym teacher to urge Set Kang to stop before he killed Groo with his fists. Afterward, Groo was rushed to the Andong hospital. Lying on a hospital bed covered in injuries, his body bandaged carefully. When he regained consciousness from his stupor, the teacher recounted his injuries: a cracked skull, a broken nose, and fractured ribs. The teacher informed Group's team that he was injured during training, and they agreed to cover the medical expenses, replacing him with another member for the upcoming tournament. Group remained silent, lost in thought. Despite the teacher assuming he was regretting missing the tournament, Group considered it a non-issue because he had found something even more exciting than fighting. Back in SetKang's classroom, since he gave Group a beating that left him half dead on the fighting ring, everyone around always looked at him with fearful glances. They were afraid that they would also be punched into the hospital like Group. Even the tough guys smoking in the restroom, when they saw Set Kang walk in to relieve himself, they quickly put out their cigarettes and pretended to be busy with other things. While squeezing the water plant, Victor walked up to ask if he was free or not. Victor felt angry for losing his opponent to Set Kang. He asked Set Kang for an appointment at 8 p.m. at the boxing gym. "This is absurd. He's barging in while I'm taking a leak. Couldn't he have waited?" At another time, precisely at 7 p.m., Victor showed up at the gym with a pair of blue boxing gloves, remembering his fight with Group. He was very strong, but still got beaten up by Set Kang like a child. This showed that Set Kang's skills were much stronger than Group's, making Victor a bit nervous. But since he had already made the appointment, he had to take the risk. However, Victor waited for more than an hour, and at 8:13, Set Kang still hadn't shown up. Victor was furious, thinking that Set Kang had stood him up. Meanwhile, at the Andong Corporation, Set Kang didn't avoid the meeting because he didn't want to go, but because he couldn't. His bodyguard had given him a stack of documents that required the personal approval of the chairman. Even though Set Kang said he had an appointment with a friend, the bodyguard insisted that he couldn't go anywhere until he finished. The next day, Victor was still angry, so he took it out on a sandbag in the boxing gym. Victor's uncle saw him training so diligently and advised him not to push too hard since there was no tournament coming up, and not many people were interested in boxing anymore. "Why don't you switch to another sport? You're not just doing boxing for the money. You made a promise that needs to be fulfilled. To become a world champion, you must strive relentlessly from now on," advised Victor's uncle. Hearing this, Victor just sighed, and his uncle stopped giving advice. Victor told his uncle not to worry because he had a tournament coming up. After Victor left the training room, a black car pulled up outside the gym. A group of men in black got out and started discussing how the boxing gym was highly valued. As Victor jogged back to school, he walked into his classroom and saw Set Kang sleeping soundly. This made him angry, so he walked up and kicked Set Kang's chair to wake him up. Set Kang, still groggy, asked why someone was waking him up when it wasn't even 7 a.m. and the person wasn't his alarm clock. Finally realizing it was Victor, the person who kicked his chair, Set Kang stood up to face him and declared, "I've never been afraid of anyone, including you. If you want to fight, I'm game." This statement angered Victor, who threw a punch at Set Kang's face, but Set Kang effortlessly blocked it with one hand. Victor continued to throw a series of punches, all of which were deftly dodged by Set Kang. When Set Kang backed up to the window, Victor thought he had him cornered and threw another punch, but Set Kang intercepted it easily with a simple move. Just then, a student walked into the classroom, prompting the two to agree to postpone their fight to avoid getting caught by the teacher. In the next class, everyone, including students and teachers, was on edge, unsure of when the two fiercest students in the class would jump at each other. Fortunately, despite their mutual animosity, both Set Kang and Victor managed to restrain themselves. The last class of the morning ended around 12:30 p.m. The two young men were planning to arrange a showdown, but Sophie invited Set Kang to lunch, and since he was feeling hungry, he agreed and decided to deal with Victor later. The afternoon classes proceeded as usual, with both Set Kang and Victor sleeping through the lesson. As the late afternoon approached and classes were about to end, Victor finally suggested that Set Kang follow him. However, after walking for a while, Set Kang felt it was taking too long, so he suggested they take Victor's car to speed things up. The driver then took them to the boxing gym, while Victor parked the car outside and the driver smoked a cigarette. A black car suddenly pulled up. Several men in black got out, armed with weapons. Inside the gym, Set Kang and Victor were unaware of this and continued arguing. "Just come up here, you," one of them shouted. "Today I'm going to give you a beating." Victor insisted that Set Kang fight without gloves, as it was his playground. Set Kang then took off his shirt, revealing his muscular body covered in numerous scars. Just as the two were about to clash, Victor's uncle suddenly announced that there was trouble outside. When Set Kang went to investigate, he found out that the driver had subdued some troublemakers who were planning to attack the gym. Set Kang asked the driver what was going on, and he explained that these individuals intended to forcibly take over the gym because the owner owed them money. In this situation, Set Kang asked his uncle what they should do. The next day, everyone suddenly noticed that Victor wasn't in class. All eyes in the class turned to Set Kang, as if he had done something. However, the truth was that Set Kang had no idea where Victor was. When the last class of the morning ended, Victor finally appeared. He approached Set Kang and asked him to step outside to talk. Victor then handed Set Kang a bag and asked, "What's this?" "Yesterday, some debt collectors gave this to my uncle for you. It contains all the debts owed by my father, plus other taxes. Did you do this, Set Kang? Who do you think you are to meddle in my family's affairs? If you don't want it, you can return it. Just focus on your boxing. I thought you promised my father that you would become a champion. But there's one more thing. Tell me whenever you want to fight. I'm always ready." Afterwards, Set Kang left, leaving Victor looking lost, staring at Set Kang's departing figure without knowing what to say. Just as Set Kang was about to leave, he encountered Sophie, the class monitor, peeking over the wall. It turned out that Sophie was worried that he and Victor would get into a fight. Set Kang asked Sophie if she was concerned about him causing trouble, which made her blush. She explained that, as the class monitor, it was natural for her to care about her classmates. Set Kang reassured her that he wouldn't fight in the classroom. As they parted ways, Set Kang couldn't help but feel touched by Sophie's kindness and concern. Their conversation was noticed by Johnson, the class president. "That rascal should know his place," he muttered to himself. "He should know his limits." In another place, the branch manager of Andong Corporation in Busan DRX was kneeling before an old man. The old man was the third-generation leader of the Midokiri Jin Black Society. "You have truly disappointed me, DRX," the old man said. "I apologize, sir. Please give me another chance," DRX pleaded. "The heir has not been confirmed yet. If you help me, the takeover of Andong Corporation will be just a matter of time." "I heard that kid is still very young," the old man remarked. "Although young, if he's been chosen as the heir, then you're in trouble. Be careful, but he's still just a kid. You need to find his weaknesses." Upon hearing this, DRX immediately thought of Set Kang's mother. The next day, the captain of the Taekwondo club, Beizhu, unexpectedly led a group of people into Set Kang's classroom to find him. This group had previously been beaten up by Group. Beizhu loudly asked who the new student was, to which Set Kang didn't hesitate to raise his hand. "Are you the one who defeated Group?" Beizhu asked. "Come out with me." But Set Kang refused to comply, unwilling to do what others told him to. At that moment, a tall, dark, and smelly man walked into the classroom and said to Beizhu, "Don't touch the new student. He will join our judo club. As for you, ask for permission." Inside the classroom, arguments were escalating, while outside, two other groups of people were eyeing each other menacingly. One was led by Damien Cha, the wrestling club captain, and the other by Scott Choi, the kendo club captain. Set Kang rubbed his head, wondering what was happening. This class is really chaotic, he thought. I can see my childhood friend is about to lose it. The class president hurriedly told them to take their argument outside. As these two club captains tried to recruit Set Kang, he remained uninterested. Eventually, when the physical education teacher appeared, they dispersed. Later, the PE teacher called Set Kang to the faculty room to talk. "I'm sure you know about the origin of our school, which is for athletes. You should try a sport," he suggested. "Do you know Group Chang, the one you defeated the other day? He was once like you. Everyone wanted him in their club, which led to a sad incident in the past. I don't want history to repeat itself with you. If you don't have time for sports, who does? It's the lower grade students who need to hear these words, not you. The teacher then asked them not to bother Set Kang anymore, as he wouldn't be friendly if they continued. But Johnson, the class president, overheard their conversation as he walked past the faculty room. He considered Set Kang a proud student and decided to teach him a lesson. This isn't the head student's day, is it? Our respected student council day, Johnson remarked. Which wind brought you here? I need you to handle someone. The next day, Set Kang went to school as usual, only to be unexpectedly attacked from behind with a stick, knocking him unconscious. When he regained consciousness, he found himself in an abandoned warehouse surrounded by several delinquent students wielding makeshift weapons. One of them kicked Set Kang in the back and ordered him to wake up, but instead of getting angry, Set Kang felt oddly cheerful. Seeing that Set Kang wasn't afraid, the leader of the group became furious. The one who had kicked Set Kang moments ago swung his stick again, trying to catch him off guard, but Set Kang swiftly turned around and punched him, breaking his hand and causing him immense pain. The guy screamed in agony as his fingers twisted unnaturally, a gruesome sight to behold. Set Kang followed up with a few more punches, knocking him out cold. After defeating him, Set Kang asked who they were, but then decided he didn't care. Regardless, he dealt with all of them. At that moment, the delinquent students had surrounded Set Kang, preventing him from escaping. The leader shouted insults and ordered his gang to attack Set Kang. However, Set Kang remained calm as he fended off each opponent with precise strikes, rendering them unable to fight back. One of the thugs attempted to restrain Set Kang with a chain, but Set Kang swiftly disabled him with a well-placed jab. Seizing the opportunity, Set Kang disarmed the assailant and taunted the rest of the gang, daring them to come at him with all they had. Enraged by Set Kang's defiance, the leader ordered his followers to grab various weapons from a nearby crate, including wooden and metal rods. They charged at Set Kang, but he calmly dodged their attacks and incapacitated them one by one. However, overwhelmed by their sheer numbers, Set Kang was caught off guard and subdued from behind by one of the thugs. Another assailant raised a rod to strike him, but Set Kang retaliated by kicking him in the face, causing him to stumble back into the wall in pain. Inadvertently, Set Kang was struck from behind with a rod, but this only fueled his fury further. Soon, all the delinquent students lay defeated on the floor, leaving only the trembling leader standing before Set Kang. Approaching the leader, Set Kang grabbed him by the collar and demanded to know who was behind the attack. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Johnson, the head of the delinquent group, was anxiously waiting for a call from his henchmen when Set Kang suddenly appeared, causing him great alarm. Johnson broke into a sweat as Set Kang grabbed him by the hair and forcefully pressed his head against the table. Demanding answers from Johnson about why he had ordered the attack, Set Kang's interrogation was interrupted by Sophie, who needed to speak with the student council. Set Kang decided to temporarily let Johnson go, telling him he was lucky today. Afterward, he left the room, blood still trickling from the wound on his head, passing by Sophie without offering any explanation. Sitting solemnly in the classroom the next morning, Sophie couldn't shake off the sadness from the events of the previous day. She wondered why Set Kang had acted the way he did towards the student council president. Outside the school gate, Set Kang was being chauffeured by his uncle, who had even arranged a team of formidable bodyguards to protect him, claiming it was necessary due to recent incidents at the Busan and Pohang branches of the organization. Set Kang found the idea of having bodyguards at school excessive, but his uncle assured him they would remain outside the school premises, ready to respond in case of emergency. Finally relenting, Set Kang accepted the arrangement and proceeded to class alone. Sophie noticed Set Kang's presence but remained silent, still troubled by yesterday's events. As Set Kang sat down, Victor, his friend, taunted him about the previous day's altercation with Johnson. Set Kang calmly explained the situation, but Victor continued to provoke him. Suddenly, the school's public address system announced Set Kang's presence was required in the principal's office. Confused, Set Kang asked Victor where the principal's office was, but Victor avoided the question and instead asked if Set Kang had caused trouble with Johnson. Victor revealed that Johnson's uncle was none other than the school principal, Jongjin and his father owned the school. Victor warned Set Kang to be careful around Johnson, but Set Kang remained indifferent. Upon reaching the principal's office, Set Kang found 4 people waiting for him. The physical education teacher, his homeroom teacher, Johnson, and a man introduced as Principal Kevin Shin, Victor's uncle. Principal Shin questioned Set Kang about the numerous incidents since his arrival at the school, including 3 cases of school violence and the public altercation with the student council president. Without hesitation, Principal Shin announced that Set Kang was officially expelled from the school, a decision endorsed by the student council president. While his teachers expressed reluctance, they couldn't oppose the principal's decision. Johnson smirked, implying it was the consequence of Set Kang's actions. However, Set Kang remained unfazed, even chuckling softly. He then took out his phone, called his bodyguards, and instructed them to buy the school for him. Not long after, a convoy of cars appeared in front of the gate of Yongjin School. A man with a scarred face quickly stepped out of the car, followed by a group of men dressed in black, carrying extremely imposing demeanor. It was then that Johnson began to feel uneasy, hastily asking Set Kang what he had done, but the scarred man led them into the principal's office without answering. While Johnson tried to say something, he was silenced by one of the men in black. The scarred man then walked to the principal's seat and threw an envelope onto the desk. The principal, now visibly angered, asked how they dared to barge in. The scarred man told him to just read the contents and continue the conversation. As the principal opened the document, his face suddenly changed color. It seemed he had been involved in several cases of embezzlement and illegal business over the past 3 years. If he sold the school to them, their side would keep quiet. Before the principal could finish speaking, however, the scarred man grabbed him by the collar. Exploiting the school for personal gain, he said, and someone like him still dared to speak up. Just relax, there's no need for theatrics like this, he added. That evening, Principal Kevin Shin discussed the matter with his older brother, the man who was also Johnson's father. He had investigated the forces behind Andong Corporation, which turned out to be the underworld. He then called his son into the room to ask what was going on. After all, had he ordered someone to beat up someone else? Johnson felt regretful when he found out that Set Kang wasn't just an ordinary high school student. At Andong Corporation, the scarred man was briefing Set Kang about the completion of the school purchase. Since the principal's criminal evidence had been taken care of, he had no choice but to agree. In fact, in the morning, it was just to get back at the principal, so Set Kang had said it casually. But unexpectedly, the scarred man had actually put down the money and sealed the deal that afternoon. Now, Set Kang was sweating because he didn't know how to manage a school in the future. The next day, Set Kang went to class as usual, much to the surprise of Victor. He didn't expect that guy who punched the principal's nephew would still be allowed to attend classes. It's unbelievable. Sophie was also worried about Set Kang, asking if he was okay. Set Kang reassured her that everything was fine, no need to worry about anything. While the two were talking, Johnson suddenly pushed the door and walked into the classroom. He pointed his finger at Set Kang's face and declared with a sneer, "Why are you afraid of me again?" But just as Set Kang was about to stand up, the guy quickly flew away, leaving him speechless. He had no idea what he was doing over here. On this side, the scarred man called the gym teacher into the principal's office for discussion. "I called you here. How can I help you?" asked the gym teacher. "I want you to become the new principal of Yongjin High School," Jongjin said the scarred man. This decision was made by the new owner of the school. The gym teacher was shocked to suddenly be made principal. Time passed quickly, and it was already late afternoon. Johnson had contacted a group of hoodlums and thugs. He wanted to hire them to kidnap Set Kang. The gang readily agreed, thinking it was just about targeting a high school student. But when they discovered that Set Kang was the target, they immediately turned the car around. They hurriedly returned the money to Johnson, and each of them quickly dispersed, not wanting to be involved. Johnson was furious and couldn't understand why Set Kang had to be feared so much. But soon he saw Set Kang being escorted by a group of imposing bodyguards, and only then did he truly feel afraid. He realized it was too late, if only he had realized earlier. In his spare time, if Set Kang didn't go to the company, He would go to his mother's cafe. Set Kang felt curious why his mother didn't live with his father, but she seemed to avoid answering this question directly. She told Set Kang that she would tell him when the time was right, but as she watched her son leave, her eyes betrayed a hint of worry, as if they held many secrets from the past that couldn't be spoken of. Let's live separately for now. Not that I want to be away from you, but we have to do this for our son. Set Kang's mother reminisced about the past, but before she could dwell on it further, some people entered the cafe. To her surprise, the leader of the group was Rex. It had been a while since they last met. Meanwhile, Set Kang was on his way to school, unaware of anything happening. He had instructed the gym teacher to take up the position of principal. After becoming a regular school again, the school had begun drowning in debt. He was planning to invest over $3 million into it, but the problem now was to make the school return to being the sports school as before, on the condition that his students attract media attention. Namhan was a country where money was power, and they had a lot of money. During the teacher's class, he looked as if he were about to collapse. Set Kang was peacefully sleeping when suddenly his phone rang, waking him up. He answered and asked who was calling. The voice on the other end greeted him affectionately, but Set Kang didn't recognize it. When he asked who it was, the person said, "It's Rex from Busan, and I'm in your class right now." Set Kang then hung up and went back to sleep, while the rest of the class looked at him as if he were a hero. "The subscriber you called cannot be reached at the moment. Please try again later," the automated voice repeated. "You guys go and bring him here for me," the caller demanded, adding a threat. "If he hasn't cleaned his nose yet, I'll show him what respect means." On the other side, Set Kang was yawning. Having just woken up from a good nap, he saw Victor still asleep, with his hair standing up. Set Kang playfully pulled his hair, but Victor's hair was too stiff, and it cut Set Kang's hand, causing it to bleed. Fortunately, it was all just a dream, and Set Kang was still asleep. The school day ended in the late afternoon. Just as Set Kang was leaving the school gate, he was suddenly blocked by two men in black. They told him to come with them. The driver immediately appeared and asked what they wanted. "How dare you give orders to Set Kang on my behalf?" he demanded. They handed him a phone and said it was a message from the branch leader, Rex. When Set Kang looked at the phone, he was furious because the person in the video was his mother. They had kidnapped her, and Set Kang was enraged. Set Kang immediately knocked down the closest man with a punch, and before the second man could react, he punched him in the face too. Set Kang demanded to know where his mother was, but the man was knocked out cold and couldn't speak. Set Kang quickly got into the car and called his uncle, the bodyguard, to report the incident. He was extremely worried about his mother's safety, but his uncle advised him to stay calm and not let them achieve their goal. He reassured Set Kang that nothing would happen because his mother was not an ordinary woman. Meanwhile, Rex was at a construction site waiting for news from his men. He apologized to Set Kang's mother, saying he had no choice but to take her hostage because he couldn't let a nobody become the CEO of Andong Corporation. But Set Kang's mother remained calm and confidently stated that her son would do better than him, angering Rex. After speaking, she suddenly stood up from her chair and looked at Rex with a cold stare that seemed to contain no emotion. Set Kang arrived at the construction site out of concern for his mother's safety. As soon as he got out of the car, he ran frantically to find her. When he found his mother, he also saw a bunch of people who had been subdued by her, while Rex was trembling in fear as she grabbed him by the collar. Seeing her son, she let him go, but Rex was haunted by the psychological trauma of the recent events, begging for help. When Set Kang's mother turned back, the bodyguard uncle immediately bowed to her and said it was time to go as it was time to open the cafe. Set Kang couldn't help but ask his mother what was going on, but she simply said it was a secret and she would tell him another time. Outside the cafe, the bodyguard uncle's eyes remained fixed on the mother and son, as he suddenly reminisced about the past. In one instance, when Set Kang was still young, he was watching his mother play Zorro, while his father, the chairman, was sitting beside him. Suddenly, his mother playfully poked Set Kang's forehead with a rooster feather, causing his elderly father to break out in a sweat. Set Kang immediately cried out in pain, and it took his mother a while to calm him down. Even the chairman was sweating, seeing how his wife was looking after their son. Since Set Kang had been hit once before, he started avoiding Zoro after that, very skillfully. But every time, his father would be startled and frightened by the sight of his wife and child playing. "Having a wife and child as chairman really gives me a headache," he would joke. The uncle bodyguard standing nearby couldn't help but be speechless at this family. Meanwhile, Rodney responded, "Yes, sir. The mafia, especially those behind the recent uprising in Busan. From now on, we need to pay more attention to the young master. Remember to bring your weapons." "Thank you, sir." Then, as an afterthought, he added, "Shall we send someone to the school? We still need a bodyguard who can follow the young master everywhere. Let's send our 2 bodyguards to the school, posing as students." Elsewhere, Sophie was having dinner with her father when he noticed her staring blankly at her food. He asked if something was wrong, and she replied that everything was fine. He reassured her that if anyone was bothering her, as a prosecutor, he would take care of it, so she shouldn't hide anything from him. But Sophie insisted that nothing was wrong and asked him not to worry. Back at the office, the chairman received news of Derex's failure, which explained why he hated delegating tasks to others. Regarding Andong Corporation, he asked how they should handle it. His subordinate reminded him that their chairman was just a high school student. If that was the case, they should send Akira there. "If you want to achieve your goals, you must use any means necessary," he advised. The next day, at the Jongjin school office, the new principal, who was still getting used to his duties, received a phone call. It was from a representative of Andong Corporation, informing him that a new student would be transferring in, and he should arrange for them to be placed in Set Kang's class. Just as he hung up, someone knocked on the door. To his surprise, it was Groo, who said he was here to congratulate the new principal and to ask for a favor. He wanted to come back to school and graduate. Later, the homeroom teacher introduced the 2 new students, and when they saw one of them, they were terrified because it was Chang, the troublemaker of the school. The other student, Kim, was handsome like a Korean idol. As they took their seats, Groo stared intently at Set Kang, who didn't back down from the challenge. "Am I supposed to be afraid of you?" he thought. Outside, a new car had just parked at the school gate. "Here we are, Miss Akira," said the driver. "So, that Set Kang guy is studying at this school, huh? I'm really eager to meet him," she replied. "Well then, all of you can sign up for the field trip. Do the 2 new students want to join?" "Sure, that's settled then. Let's meet tomorrow, and the whole class can get to know the new students," she said before leaving. After the teacher left, Groo suddenly stood up and approached Set Kang and Victor's table. Victor thought Groo was there to provoke his friend again and decided to leave. But to his surprise, Groo wanted to talk to Set Kang. "Is there something you want to fight about?" Victor challenged. "Just because Set Kang beat you up doesn't mean I'm an easy target," he added. "No, it's not here. I want to put on gloves and fight fair and square," Groo replied. Meanwhile, Set Kang was about to leave when he met Sophie at the school gate. She wanted to invite him to watch a movie, and since he was free, he agreed. Elsewhere, the new student, Kim, was talking to Set Kang's driver, who was secretly assigned to protect Set Kang by the uncle wearing glasses. That evening, Victor and Groo were practicing boxing. Victor kept attacking, but Groo only defended without retaliating. He told Victor, "Is that all you've got? You're just making me angry. You can't even land a punch on me." Despite occasionally getting hit by Victor, Groo remained calm and defensive. Back at the movie theater, Set Kang and Sophie were watching a scary movie. Sophie got scared and grabbed onto Set Kang's sleeve, causing him to hold her hand, which made her jump in embarrassment when he let go. After the movie ended, Sophie was about to leave when Set Kang suggested they go eat, saying it was common to grab a bite after watching a movie. They ended up going to a fancy restaurant, where Set Kang assured her that she wouldn't have to worry about the cost because it was owned by his family's company. "Don't worry, you can eat as much as you want. I won't let you pay," he said. "Honestly, I'm a bit jealous." "Do you think I'm just bragging?" he added. "No, it's not just that. I'm also a bit envious," she replied. "So, when should we plan our next date?" Set Kang asked. The next day, as Set Kang was heading to school, the principal informed him that they were sending someone to Jeju Island for a school field trip, but the Japanese mafia seemed to be up to something. Set Kang reassured him that it was just a school outing and nothing would happen. The principal still insisted that he accompany Set Kang for safety, especially with Kim around. He wanted to ensure they were protected from any potential gang threats on Jeju Island. The plane took off, carrying the students to Jeju Island for an outdoor excursion. Everyone was excited about the trip. One guy was shouting loudly but got scolded by the teacher for being too loud. "Come on, kids, hurry up and get on the bus," she reprimanded. The bus quickly took the whole class to the Jeju Tourist Hotel. "All right, everyone off the bus." "That's it," the teacher announced. "Our class is in room 8, starting from room 802. There's a number on the door, so you'll easily find your room. I'll give you an hour to settle in, then we'll meet here," she instructed. Set Kang found his room, only to discover that he was sharing it with Groo and Victor, while Kim was in the next room. Inside the room, there were 3 beds prepared, with Set Kang taking the one in the middle. Groo chose the biggest bed, which irritated Victor. "You're taking the biggest bed again, huh?" he complained, and they exchanged longing looks. Set Kang found himself stuck in the middle. The chosen destination for the trip was Zuzingjioli, where the class had a few hours to explore before gathering at the bus to return to the hotel. By 3 p.m. Sophie asked Set Kang if he wanted to go somewhere together, and they decided to stroll along the bridge. Meanwhile, outside, Victor was lying back on the grass when he was bothered by some loud noises. It turned out to be a group of Chinese students chatting loudly. Back on the bridge, Set Kang and Sophie bumped into the Chinese group, who started teasing Sophie. Annoyed, Sophie pulled Set Kang away from them. As they left, the Chinese students laughed mockingly and gestured rudely at Set Kang. However, he just gave them a cold, indifferent look before leaving with Sophie. Once they were out of earshot, Sophie asked Set Kang if he could speak Chinese. He explained that he had lived in China for a few years due to his father's job, so he hadn't forgotten the language. Sophie inquired about what the guys had said earlier, but Set Kang told her not to mind them. Later, when Set Kang returned to the Chinese group, he smiled warmly at them, appearing friendly. However, he quickly made an excuse to leave, saying he needed to use the restroom. As he walked away, he apologized for the inconvenience and suggested they take some photos of the beautiful scenery nearby. On the bridge at this moment, the group of Chinese students had just been roughed up by Set Kang, their gang leader questioning what had happened. "There was a Korean guy who beat us up. Just one guy, and we couldn't even fight back. Don't you feel ashamed? Everyone, find that guy and bring him to me. We must get him because of this," he demanded. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the Chinese students suddenly noticed Victor lying asleep on the grass. One of them approached and kicked Victor's leg to wake him up. Startled from his sleep, Victor didn't hesitate to jump into action and engage them. "You've been barking quite a bit. It's time to deal with you," Victor said as he fought back. In another location, Group was quietly enjoying the scenery when they were confronted by the Chinese students. "Did he beat you up?" they asked, but Group remained silent, not responding. An angry member of the Chinese group attempted to attack, but Group swiftly dodged and countered, wrestling him to the ground. Seeing this, the rest of the Chinese group hesitated, not daring to engage further. A while later, all the students from classes 1 to 3, including Victor and Group, returned to the bus. Of course, before boarding, the two of them scolded the Chinese students. Kim, engrossed in conversation with the driver, had forgotten the time and was scolded by the teacher for smoking. "You're just a high school student. How dare you smoke? Do you know how harmful cigarettes are? Just because you're of age doesn't mean you should," she reprimanded. Despite this, she forgave him this time. Phew, that's a relief, Kim thought, feeling lucky. "Oh Mom, this uncle is so strange. Don't stare at people like that," he said, embarrassed. In the evening, at a bar somewhere, 3 Chinese students sat at a drinking table, their faces swollen from being punched. "Sorry boss, we underestimated them. They're idiots. There are only 3 of them, and they couldn't do anything," one of them admitted. "Don't you guys feel ashamed? We have to bring them to Tao tomorrow," the boss commanded. "Do you still remember their uniforms?" he asked. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the driver had arrived at a restaurant to visit an old acquaintance on Jeju Island. It's been a while, bot. Yoeun, the man in question, was the branch manager of Andong Corporation on Jeju Island. Jeju's specialties enjoy, he said, offering the food. Looks delicious, thank you, replied the driver. Seems like you're having a hard time with a young master, he remarked. I heard Dear X went crazy because the young master became the chairman. He said he got roughed up by him again. Anyway, it's been tough, so eat up. Thanks for the meal, the driver expressed gratitude. You live in a beautiful place and have such good food, he commented. Jeju used to be really beautiful, but now the Chinese have occupied it. The three organizations are still trying to invade our territory. You should talk to Peter. We still don't have official information, but they're quietly using financial power to manipulate us. We still can't catch them red-handed. The boss's son is here, but he's just traveling with the school, so there's no need to worry. The young master is also traveling with the school here, hoping everything will be fine. Do you want to have a drink with sashimi? The driver asked, but he declined, saying he had to take care of the young master. Just a little drink, he insisted. Everyone was happy to see you again, the driver noted. Okay, I'll have just a little, he finally agreed.